Human body is an energetic power plant, just like the Earth. The ether, in this 3D plane of existence, produces and propagates sonic, scalar, magnetic, and electrical energy from the moment a pulse is emanated from the heart of the planet, the black sun within the center of our plane, in radial scalar waves in different frequencies, and by the resonance they propagate in the entire environment. Thus, the energy is generated at the moment that the ions are confined or heated in a toroidal field, forming a high magnetic dielectric field from which derives energy of high electrical conductivity of gases that we call plasma. In the same way, in our body, the ether is present in the melanin, which is the one that produces this pulse. Therefore, its real name will be melody, because it produces sound. Also, due to its anatomy, the human body produces a large resonant pulse from the heart, which forms a strong magnoelectric field, matching the electrical ions of the cellular water and of the entire system, blood and other saps such as saliva, sweat, and urine, converting them into a standing wave column of scalar energy, produced by various frequencies extracted from the resonance of the ether, functioning as an implosion resonator or resonator to produce fine scalar energy and in turn to magnetism that derives in a high frequency called electricity. All of this is possible with the help of a toroidal coil inside of a chamber of resonance, our heart and a rib cage. Realizing that water is a liquid crystal because it's formed by several minerals, achieves perfect energy conductivity, balancing the ions, positively charged sodium ions, along with the negatively charged chloride ions. Therefore, the rotation of the ions within this etheric and magnoelectric field, they can be converted into waves to generate energy, and for this, a reactor resonator is necessary, and this is our body itself. The quartz crystals within our internal waters activate the circuit, since their molecules have the shape of a tetrahedron, which when entering into resonance with the sound and magnetic pulse of the heart and the planet, induces them to pulsate and thus enter into resonance state. Therefore, the mass of quartz subjected to this constant mechanical stress produces friction between the surface of the tetrahedral crystal, generating a negative electric charge, creating the piezoelectric effect. A piezoelectric is the result of pressure and latent heat that accumulates in certain solid materials, such as crystals, ceramics, and of course in biological matter, such as our bones and the genetic code, DNA itself. In response to the application of mechanical and dynamic stress, thus the mass of our body becomes a condenser of energy. There are two types of crystals: those that rotate left in a left-handed manner, producing negative charges, and right-handed, producing positive charges, and when a dielectric material is introduced between the plates of the capacitor, the dielectric is polarized. There is a redistribution of positive and negative charges within the matter to collect the ions from the atmosphere directly from the ether, and in with the ions of the earth, making the body grounded or earthing by living barefoot, touching the earth all the time. Hence the importance of earthing or grounding, daily stepping on the earth barefoot. That dielectric material is the tissues and fats in our body, and especially our entire skin, which acts as a perfect insulator. In this way, working with the piezoelectric of the crystals, we accumulate energy using various chargers to produce ultrasonic waves, where the energy produced and harvested accumulates in our bones, which are made of silicon, and in our DNA, in response to the application of a mechanical and dynamic stress, as we have explained before. And that dynamic stress is generated by the movement of walking barefoot on the ground daily. And that they are turning the human being into a sedentary being that moves a little. That's why we are very exhausted and weak. Hence, the false need for external stimulation, such as food and other drugs, which are required by the internal parasites that live in the digestive system. But when we eat, we fall into the trap of stealing energy, because the system is further weakened by being subjected to the strong internal caloric production called metabolism, which means beyond the bolus, or burning of the food bolus, which causes us fatal consequences such as tiredness, fatigue, sleep, paleness, and the whole range of emotions that originate from toxemia within the body due to the ingest of all kind of food, especially the flesh, processed and junk food, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, The heart is our essential coil, which also stores the waves of the ether, which leads to creating fine high-frequency energy, as the coils generate vortex, which in turn generate strong magnetic fields in loops. Coils plus vortexes form resonators. A positive vortex with a negative one rotated around themselves cancel in both, and thus creating a scalar zero-point energy, where the poles converge from a center, the heart. And this is the beginning of the dynamism. Two currents that rotate and meet in a center, that rotate on themselves, creating a vortex to create neutrality that we call piezoelectricity, creating a stationary undulating column with neutralized charges that go from 0 to 9 in turns, that goes up the spine, which is the equalizer and frequency synthesizer, and where our plasma is produced. Our physical body is a biological machine of crystal water that works with air gas. It's an air pressure pump with a constant circulation of liquids, where the lungs are the pump and the heart the magnetic valve coil, where an environment of balance between pressure, temperature, and humidity is recreated, derived from the balance of water, heat, and steam vapor, called in the Toltec tradition Atlachinoli and Ometeot, and the result of this, vapor or steam, it translates as hydrogen. Which is contained by internal pressure of our body. Like all pressure, it's contained due to a perfect closed system, as happens in the external fractal of the planet, that is subject to the pressure of the physical dome, that also acts as resonator or as an express pot, regardless of whether it is for better or worse. That's how it is, and that's how it works. We work with pressurized air, where the machine is made of water and spongy and elastic material. By keeping the right frequency in resonance and the expansion and contraction of the system. If we lose elasticity in the organs and tissues, vitality is lost. Thus, is that this biological machine depends in part at this stage of air and good ventilation of the entire system. We are living because we are breathing, not because we are eating. We don't depend on food at all, but air. It also depends that our waveform is in the correct phase, so that the state of resonance occurs and provides balance to the entire system from the melanin to put themselves in phase and in tune, self-recharging and a self-sustaining way, and outside of the artificial frequency of time that is synchronized, that means without chronos, time. And for this it's required that the pipe, arteries, veins and capillaries be free without obstructions, toxins and pathogens, since they are the ones in charge of transmitting the sound appropriate music melody, reverberating within our biological resonator reactor, the human body, as in a power station. These complex machines were designed to make the elements of the ether to resonate in harmony and fluency in order to generate energy, producing the correct stimulation magnetic for the perfect alignment of scalar energy. Thus, the tube arteries reach their maximum reverberation power when they are inside of a crystal structures to resonate in a harmonious and fluid way, like our body that is made of quartz and water, and the silicon skeleton that we possess and free of physical obstruction, so that they project the appropriate frequency, producing a harmonious sound full of resonance. To complete the circuit, a magnetron is also necessary. In this, the ions of the magnetic field around them interact with a microwave current from the resonator body, causing them to oscillate, generating a high frequency signal. Microwaves are a form of magnetoelectric radiation, and for this magnetron to work correctly and to propagate sound waves, it's necessary to have inputs and outputs. Hence, the body has holes such as pores, nose, mouth, ears, etc. The heart, as a coil, acts as a magnetron as well, which can generate frequencies because it's a converter and regulator of power of great efficiency, amplitude, neutrality, modulation, durability, and resonance. From here comes the esoteric concept of the word love. In Spanish, of course, it's amor, amplitud modulada de onda resonante, because we have 4 keywords. The initials of this are A for amplitude, M for modulated, and O and R are resonant wave. And love is just magnetism, magnetic traction between bodies that they put in the same phase, or they synchronize for sharing the same range of frequencies. And these waves enter in the state of pure resonance.